Are you serious? Are you serious? Do you? Okay, now we're talking El Nino. I want to thank Mark Smith out of Toronto, Canada, for this report. But this could be a substantial event on the planet. El Nino. We've heard of him before. We've seen him before. We've lived through him before. And certainly, but the fact is this. Here's the deal. With the earth that tilted almost 24 degrees, we've seen extreme weather patterns. Extreme weather patterns. Polar vortex has just literally froze America. Lake Michigan broke a record, the most ice coverage of that Great Lake in history. We've seen brutal winters and large amounts of snow and ice and shutting down Atlanta. I mean, what in the world's going on? We've seen 19.7 inches of snowfall one day in Jerusalem. We've seen 5 inches of snow on the pyramids and the Sphinx in Egypt. I mean, there's been unbelievable droughts in California. Madagascar has droughts, famines, and locusts. We know that Australia, days of 110, 115 degrees and wild forest fires burning out of control. There's been massive, extreme, just unbelievable shifts in extreme weather patterns. Look at the United Kingdom. They've had 5 storms come ashore this winter with 100-mile-an-hour winds, 50-foot waves, 5 times. 5 times. We've got extreme flooding now in Christchurch, New Zealand, the worst flooding in 100 years there. We've seen unbelievable, unprecedented dead birds, dead fish, and dead cattle, deer, buffalo, elk, bison around the world. Llamas in Peru, sheep in Uruguay. There's just been one event after another. So certainly extreme weather patterns have been prevalent. Now we've got El Nino. According out of Washington, D.C., U.S. federal forecasters predict a warning and a tremendous warming of the Central Pacific Ocean this year that will change weather worldwide. The warming effect, called El Nino, can mean an even hotter year, coming up on billions of dollars in losses of food crops. Australia and South Africa should be dry. Australia is already dry. They don't need it. So is parts of South Africa. It will be extremely dry this year, with parts of South America becoming dry, parts becoming very wet because of El Nino. And Peru suffers the most, getting floods and poor fishing. But it could bring good news for some parts of the planet. Again, you got extreme shifts of weather leading to fewer Atlantic hurricanes. But you know what? I remember one year when they said there was an El Nino, we wouldn't have as many hurricanes, and we had, some unbelievable hurricanes. So again, we just got to watch and see what's going on. Also, there may be more rain in California. There could be a milder winter next year in the United States, according to meteorologists. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, issued an official El Nino watch. El Nino is a warming of the Central Pacific once every few years, about every 9 years actually. But then again, don't forget the sun. How many solar flares? How many CMEs? How many eruptions? How is this affecting some of the things going on here in the planet? And so with the Earth tilt, El Nino, extreme weather patterns and conditions that may be extremely changing again, we just watch what's going on. And then, like I said, today, in the last 24 hours, we've had 63, I repeat, 63 earthquakes over 2.5 or higher, including a 6.9 in Eureka, California, the largest earthquake to hit the coast of California in 22 years, since 1992. With that in mind, you have to understand this is part of the extreme weather patterns. And part of that is not just because only the tilt, but the earthquakes are being affected, of course, by the excessive solar flare activity on the sun and the gravitational pull. And don't forget Comet Linear. What? I know you don't want to hear about another comet, but I'm serious. Comet Linear will be the closest comet ever to go past the Earth since we've been recording it in history. Closer than the one that was in 1770. It's going to come within 1 million miles of the Earth. It has a huge debris field of 2.1 million miles. And we're going to pass through it during May 23rd, 24th, 25th, 24th being the peak. They're expecting tremendous meteorite showers, fireballs over Canada and America on May 24th. And that's the same day Pope Francis steps foot on the cobblestone streets of Jerusalem with a historical visit. Maybe we do know this, during the 4 blood moon pattern that's beginning on the high Jewish feast days, because the first one will happen on April 15th, folks. April 15th, Passover, it will be the first blood moon. So, Comet Linear's coming in right in then, and the Pope will be in Jerusalem, and maybe the peace agreement, maybe the covenant with many, as it says in Daniel 9:27, may actually be in process of being signed. Although Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday said, we're a year away. But of course, he said that because he's upset that Abbas said, we're not going to recognize Israel as a Jewish nation. We may sign this deal, but not because we recognize them as a Jewish state. Well, that's one of the major points that Netanyahu is holding out for. He's got to have this. So, El Nino and a whole lot of other things are going on. Are you serious? Are you serious? Is there something biblical going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ? I'll be right back with more information out of the Ukraine. Oh.